Hey everybody, it's Wednesday.
I was almost just going to say Thursday anyways, and you're right, it's not. But welcome to this week's edition of The Night Bite.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Emily. And this is Fisher. And we're all here tonight, super excited to talk to you about, I guess, the Wisconsin Fishing Expo. So before we get there, right? I guess we have been having a series of shows that have been featuring different vendors. So some of them honestly have been at even different shows that we've been at along the way, and that's been interesting and fun. But ultimately, all of this culminates in the Wisconsin Fishing Expo, and these vendors that you have come to know and love, these people that you have been watching, these products that you've been checking out, they're going to be right here in the great state of Wisconsin.
Yeah, I mean, what our little series that we did, I think we did 12 vendors. That barely scratches the surface of what's going to be at the show this weekend. We could have probably did a bi-weekly show for the whole year, 52 weeks, and still not covered everybody. So that's going to be a great time over in Oshkosh.
So, we have the whole episode to talk about actually the expo and all that, but we usually do give people a minute to tune in and share where they're at and if they have ice. This is a really exciting time of the year where, up until now, we've been talking about the lead up. Are you frozen? Are you not? And it's that hard part where people are starting to get ice, but in a lot of places, it might not be enough yet to walk out on top of. So I think at this point, though, as far as Wednesday goes, I have definitely seen ice reports out. I've seen people posting on Facebook. I don't know if I've seen people on ice here myself, but I do know that there seems to be a warm up coming as well.
Yeah, I mean, there hasn't been very much from our area. There's been a couple of guys I've been seeing still that 2.5, 3 inches. So still not quite enough for this guy. But, we've been busy with all the show stuff. We were in St. Paul last weekend. Got to touch base with a bunch of people. So that's what we've been up to.
That is what we've been up to. And looking forward to this show before, I guess, Christmas. It's like Show Expo season. It's like fishing season starts, and then the holidays, and then ice fishing starts, and that's like second holidays. I don't know, ice fishing season. But Josh is showing off a few of these comments, people checking in along the way. So hello to everybody who is here. And actually, for those of you who have been tuning in, we have been doing a giveaway with each show. And the fun thing is this evening, I guess we're going to spoil the surprise even this early, but we have some tickets to go to the expo. So how we've been running this is leave a comment where you're watching, leave the comment, and then whatever you say, you can check in where you're at, tell us if you're coming to the expo, and hopefully you are, because if you're going to win tickets, you're going to want to use them, right?
And we're actually going to do the giveaway a little different tonight. We're going to have everybody please go over to the Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo page and make a comment on the video there. Just because we need to consolidate it. And since the expo is being gracious enough to give us a giveaway for 2 tickets, let's give them a bunch of comments on their video as well.
And ultimately, you get to choose where and how you're watching this. YouTube, Facebook, there's a few different pages. But if you happen to be driving to the expo, you can listen to this as a podcast as well. So whether it's this episode or some of these older episodes, maybe we'll be joining you on your drive. So for people at home, let us know if you checked out the webpage. Let us know what booth you're really excited to see. But either way, tonight we are going to be here to talk about that. And before we bring our guest in, I know it's going to happen in 1 second, but I have to say, we've known this person for, gosh, I don't know how long now. I guess I can't say forever, but like a while it feels like. But I have to say, Don, I'm almost nervous now because lately in this past week, there has been so much excitement for this expo. I feel like Don has been on every single news channel and radio channel and podcast and everything. I see him behind the scenes. He's scratching Brigham. So we have Don here with us. And, we are like so flattered because I feel like we've seen you everywhere these last few days talking about the expo. So thank you so much.
TV star Don Kirby.
I don't know about that, but I sure enjoy the opportunity to talk to you guys, and I appreciate you bringing me on.
I'm almost like nervous to talk to you tonight. Now all of a sudden you're like a big celebrity.
I can't even get your autograph from here. I'm gonna have to hunt you down at the end.
I don't know about that, but it is a great point, and I guess I'll use this venue to thank. I have a lot of media partners from my time here in northeastern Wisconsin, back from when I was running a big sporting goods store, and it's just a great example that if you stay friends with great connections in the outdoors business, it's amazing what friends will do for friends, right? And so I've been able to go back and make some asks and got some really great resources with some of the local television and radio hosts, and it's pretty cool to be able to talk about our new event and to be able to have all those partners out there willing to give me a chance to say a few words. So thanks to you guys as well. I appreciate the time.
I almost want to thank you already, but it's this we just barely started, so we'll get there, right? But Don, we do know you a little bit, but I guess as far as the Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo, as far as we've been talking about, you are not a vendor, right? So I guess, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you fit in with the Ice Fishing Expo?
Sure. So I work for Bass Urban Advertising, which is the crew of guys that operates this show and the Wisconsin Fishing Expo down in Madison. I've been on the team about 5 years, and my story is one of those weird ones where Dan Durbin, one of our owners, actually worked for me. I'm going to age myself here. 30 years ago, back at Gander Mountain in Brookfield, when he was fresh out of college. I wasn't much further out of college, but we worked together way back then. And kind of in the same vein that I just talked about, be good to people on your way up, because you never know how things are going to change. And now I work for him, and we are an advertising agency that services the outdoors industry specifically, and then we're kind of an odd duck because we also operate these shows. So we've got the Wisconsin show down in Madison in February. That show's coming up on 40 years here pretty quick, but the guys have owned it and operated it since 2015. We've been working on this Ice Fishing Expo for about 2.5 years now, with you guys pretty much on board from about the third minute. And in addition, then we also operate on a contract basis the Waterfowl Hunters Expo at this same venue in Oshkosh that happens in August. So I don't know if we're experts, but we certainly have a lot of experience in operating these type of consumer trade shows. And I spent 25 years essentially trying to build great teams for great customer service, specifically in retail. A good portion of that time with Gander Mountain stores, and that's the focus that we bring to these things, right? We want our customers to have a great time when they come to the show and get to see and do and feel new things, but we also want to be great partners with our vendor family. And so as we are folks that we end up doing exhibits, right? We are vendors for some of our clients at shows. I feel like we have an exceptionally good handle on how the experience should be from both sides of the equation. And hopefully that helps us to give great customer service to our vendor community. And then when you have that level of partnerships, shucks, we've got almost 90 vendors at this first year event, 145 exhibit spaces. We're gonna blow people away. I promise, folks. If you choose to spend some time with us this weekend, you're gonna see an amazing array of vendors from these huge companies that everybody recognizes the brands, to amazing little mom and pop vendors that make these cool, innovative products, or in some cases, unbelievably art-like products that are just going to intrigue you. So that's all mushed together, and then we've got great sources of information like U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service or DNR, or getting to fish the trout pond, or what seems to attract a lot of the media's attention are these wheelhouses and skid houses, right? The super shacks. I just think that there's, no matter what level of ice angler you are, right? So whether you're maybe not one yet, but you're interested, or you're kind of a beginner, or you're a super expert, I think you're going to find stuff at this show that's going to appeal to you. And that's without even scratching the surface of all of the seminars and educational opportunities that are there as well. So yeah, I kind of come to the table with a unique background, but one that has served me very well as kind of the peanut butter in the sandwich of these shows, right? I'm the interface between vendors and customers, and trying to make sure that both of them feel really good about their experience.
I'm pausing only because that was all so exciting. I'm just I was ready for more, to be honest. So as we are thinking about this expo that's coming up, you had made reference to the Wisconsin Ice Fishing or the Wisconsin Fishing Expo that's in Madison, in spring, coming up towards spring. But that's a great expo. There's tons of awesome vendors. I'm just going to be honest, parking can be really tough, right? So I mean, people who get there early, I mean, that's awesome, or whatever. People find their way in. It's great. And that honestly is just the limitation of we need expo space large enough to hold that many people and vendors, and it's hard to park that many cars. So when we are coming to Oshkosh, give us a little sneak peek of, I guess, where we're going and what all of this looks like.
Yeah, no, that's an awesome question. So my first thought would be I'm gonna reference people to our website, because our graphics guy Todd, who you are familiar with, who's a wizard, built an awesome graphic that sits on our website that shows people literally from the highway exit on how to get into this place if you're not familiar. For those of us in the Valley, of course, Sunnyview Expo Center is the home of the Winnebago County Fair, the huge summertime music festival called Life Fest. So if you live within 30 or 40 miles, you're probably very familiar. But if you're not from the area, it's extremely easy to find right off of the interstate. And so you'll zip in, you make a couple of left-hand turns off the I, and you're right there. And you guys make an excellent point. We'll be very interested to see how parking goes. The parking is expansive at this event, but I would tell you that at the August event that we have for Waterfall, when we have more than 5,000 people there all at once, now that's a one-day event. So there's a tremendous sense of urgency, but we have come close to filling up those lots with 5,000 people there at one time. So we don't anticipate any issues. I don't think we'll have quite that sense of urgency because this is a 3-day event, and so it's spread out a little bit more. But there's ample parking, and it's free, right? So I mean, you can't beat that. That's obviously one of the challenges all the time at Madison is the county charges for parking. But here this year we're free with parking. There's a bunch. And I guess I should also mention that part of your parking experience will be we're going to do remote ticketing. So you'll be able to ticket in your car after you first pull in. We've got a double queue, enough room for 80 vehicles. We don't anticipate any issues there. But so you'll ticket in your car, and then you're free range chicken after that. You can walk to the food trucks first. You can come in to Stevenson Hall. You could walk back and go fish in the trout pond first, or go walk through wheelhouses, or whatever your heart desires. The campus is kind of open to you because then you're ticketing out there. So we hope to, we've watched and learned and tried to figure out how's the best way to use this venue. And so that's our plan with this. And we're hoping that it'll make for a really superior experience for the folks that come in.
And then you mentioned a trout pond. Is this an ice pond? A trout ice pond?
I will take the high road and say that I lost the battle for having this be an ice trout pond. I thought that was a pretty hot idea, but my compadres voted that down, and so this will be a conventional, no hard water trout pond, but it is with a terrific vendor. So we're using the same vendor who comes from North Carolina, by the way. Go figure. That we use at Madison, who also I also know he does the Journal Sentinel show in Milwaukee. Jim is just a terrific guy. He spends his whole life with fish, right? So how how happy must his days be? But so he'll be set up, and right in that trout pond area, we've got the whole Ice Junkies youth zone with all kinds of other activities. So I'm pretty confident that that's going to be a hub of a lot of busy young people back in the trout pond area and Ice Junkies youth zone and whatnot.
So you mentioned the youth zone. Do you know any sneak peeks about what's in there? Well, like if we're thinking like kid zone, look at you, you're like, oh shoot, am I putting you on the spot?
Yeah, no. I was just thinking, as a matter of fact, because I helped put up the pipe and drape today, I'm intimately familiar with the youth zone. But yeah, so we've got they're fresh as today's bread. Some really cool beanbag toss games and I don't want to let the cat too far out of the bag, but the Ice Junkies have this cool fishing tournament theme where you're going to be able to weigh your bag and some contests going on, throwing bags, playing cornhole on some custom boards that we had built up. They've also got some Hub Shack setup, tear down contests going on, and some other activities. Plus, they've got their whole booth and in talking to Ryan from their team just in the last week or so, they actually also have one of their members that's going to be doing some tying demonstrations for micro jigs and some like ice flies and stuff like that. So they kind of keep adding layers to that onion. But so they've got a number of different really cool things going on. And then, of course, out in that area, Ice Junkies is one of the stops, as is DNR for Kids Fish Bingo, right? So the Fish Bingo program kind of leads you all around the expo. Kids 12 or under get their card stamped, then they can bring it back to the Wisconsin Outdoor News booth and win a prize bag. So there's a lot of cool things for kids, and that's without even touching on some of the specialty seminars they're focused just on young people as well.
Okay, so we will get back to that, but I'm still on, because when we started this part of the conversation, you had mentioned like youth zone, and I awkwardly stumbled like kid zone. And, I kind of actually like your terminology for it. And here's why is, a lot of these different expos have like kid zone, kids games, and, like adults stay out or teens like stay out, you're too old, but it's nice that you're hearing about like integrating the tying up the flies, because that's something that, fishing is an all age thing, whether you're a child, a teen, an adult, or anywhere in between that, fishing is for you. And so when you come to an expo, and it's funny because there's all like the kid zone for the tiny little kids, and then the booths for like the adults, but when there's the range of items for, everybody between that, that's a really cool thing. And if I've been hearing that, is it called WIFA, the high school association? They work so hard to get the youth involved.
Yeah, that's an excellent call out, Emily. So WIFA or WIFA, I've heard it both ways. That's the Wisconsin Interscholastic Fishing Association. So basically all these high school fishing teams, they are going to be joining us. So they have a huge double booth for information for both adults and kids. If you've got a team in your area, you'll be able to find out, or if you want information on how to get one rolling. That's down in the south wing, not very far from the seminars area. But then in addition, we've got WIFA kids helping us all over the place. We're really big time partners with WIFA. And we've done this to a lesser extent at the spring show a couple of years back, but this is kind of the start of their season. So they're super excited to have their teams all come together. They filled up their rosters of volunteer spots, apparently just like that. And so, yeah, you're going to see those kids in uniform running around all over. And to your point, these are high school age kids, right? So they're 13, 14-ish up to 16, 17, 18. Really a great time of their lives for these kids to be further engaged in fishing and angling and all of the awesome ways that can improve your life. And the other thing that I would call out, I guess, for those slightly older kids, I'll direct people to the website, to the seminars page, but Greg Karch from Learn to Fish with Us is doing his awesome presentation. It's limited, and don't quote me on this, but I believe the first 50 participants, 16 and under, get a free ice rod and reel combo for attending his seminar on Saturday afternoon. I'm almost afraid to overhype that because 50 does not mean 500. But if you've got a young person that really wants to learn, and you guys have met Captain Greg, I mean, he's just an amazing educator. What an awesome opportunity for those young people to be able to come and learn from a guy like Captain Greg, and then get a free spiff to boot. It's just one more example of, to your point, the whole from the littles on up to the not so littles. We want to be able to have something that really engages them at the show.
Well, and Greg has such a great interactive, I was going to say, presentation. It's that room that he does it in. It is so interactive. It's hard to call it a presentation, I guess is what I mean. Because, especially when you talk about kids and you think of seminars, you're like, that's never going to work. But it's like really amazing how it really does.
Yeah, he's truly a gifted individual. And we're fortunate that we've been able to forge such a strong partnership with him over the years, because he is, here in Wisconsin, we just don't realize how good we have it to have people like that are out there just working every day, right? This is his calling, and we're super, super pleased that he's with us again on the Hardwater side of things.
Yeah. And then while we're talking about kids, did I hear that Santa's making an appearance?
Santa is making an appearance on Sunday. So not only, and in terms of pulling strings here, I'll just toot my own horn a little bit. Not only were we able to prevent the Packers from having a game to mess up our weekend, but we called in some favors from the North Pole and we got Santa coming on Sunday as well. So just in case people weren't aware of just how connected we are, we're
This
able to
busy season.
we're able to pull some pretty big strings.
Oh my goodness. A question here. Brent is asking, will WIFA have their raffle tickets? There's usually a lot of prizes. To be honest, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that answer for sure, but my gut would tell me almost certainly because of the large booth that they've got. I'm going to guess almost certainly that they'll have their raffle tickets there. I guess I would suggest for Brenda, probably a great way to confirm that, I would jump into their Facebook page. They do a really nice job administering that. And so I would just ask the question right there, and I bet she'll be able to have an answer by the morning.
And then one of the things that you just kind of very gently mentioned on, but I think it's a great point. You had mentioned, the ice fishing culture of Wisconsin or something like that. But it made me really think about, Wisconsin is, unique compared to other states. Every lake to lake, water bodies have different regulations, like we all get that. But, Wisconsin with sturgeons, with spearing, and so many different things. So are there any booths that are going to be representing, I guess, some of this Wisconsin fishing culture?
Oh yeah, a couple that I think of for sure are some of our local retailers. So Rip and Lips is a local retailer, 2 locations: Stockbridge up on the northeast side of Lake Winnebago, and now down in Fond du Lac. And they're into the whole thing, right? I mean, they're big on the spearing side of things, the whole sturgeon culture. In their locations, as well as custom lures and some of the trends for Green Bay and Winnebago. And then we've got Critter Sports, kind of down on the upper lake, on the what we'd call the upper lakes of the Winnebago chain, down in Winneconne. And he does a fantastic job as well. So I'm sure both of those guys are going to have their fingers right on what's going on locally. And then of course you got some of the big retailers, right? We brought our longtime partner from the spring show, Wilderness Fish and Game. Is coming over from Sauk City, and then even bigger than them, Thorn Brothers out of Minnesota. And so, yeah, we're kind of trying to layers, right? So layers and layers and layers. Each of those retailers is going to bring different things, and those are, I call them retailers only because they're not specifically manufacturers. But then of course there's all kinds of other, especially some of these smaller vendors that'll be selling things that you literally may not be able to find anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, we talked, one of our first episodes for our vendor call was Ryan Ebert. He just mentioned that he'll have some decoys and shirts too. And that's one of the cool things about what you guys do. If nobody's attended the Wisconsin Fishing Expo before and how well you guys put that on, I think one of the things that how you guys make an expo special versus everyone else is that you do put an emphasis on some of the art and like less retail part of the expos, right? Like you bring the whole fishing and outdoor thing full circle with bringing some of these artists in and sprinkling them throughout the vendorship. And it's really cool because a lot of times you find some really functional art, and Ryan's one of those people.
I just saw Ryan's comment, and I remember when Ryan and I kind of secured the arrangement, and Ryan's been with us for a long time. I mean, from very, very beginnings of this process. I did like the Karate Kid, like, yeah, when we got his booth secured, because as I was looking at his stuff, I was like, yes, that's exactly the kind of super unique stuff that you want to have at a show like this, right? It's one of the gut checks that we always do, right? I understand you could walk into Fleet Farm and not pay anything to go shopping, right? That's kind of the deal. Why are you going to pay us $10 to come to an expo? Well, I want to give you 90 reasons, right? 90 vendors of why you want to come to this expo, and give us just a little bit before, a little bit of a cover charge, like going to see a great band, to get in to see these things. Because where else are you going to be able to talk to, pro staff from Eskimo and then walk over and look at Ryan's decoy carvings and other stuff, and then walk down and have your kid listen to Greg Karch, and then go out and catch a trout and, and eat at one of your favorite food trucks. And I just talked about your activities from 9 to 11 on Saturday. and so those are the things that we've, the casserole that we're trying to put together to make sure that you're just blown away, that you can't believe that all of this stuff was under one roof.
Well, and I guess one of the things that I was thinking about, even when I asked that question, is there's so many people moving around all the time. And I guess that's a really generic statement, but it's hard to get into ice fishing. A lot of hobbies out there, you can just like go try, but ice fishing, you need gear, you need things, you need knowledge, and you do, once you have that stuff, you do just go try. That's part of it, but you need enough base stuff to make even that happen, right? And so if you're going to try to attempt even something newer than that, or something, spearing, some of these different things, sturgeon, that's a whole experience in itself, so when you can come to a place like this and talk to the different booths, talk to the people who have done these things or participate in these aspects of the sport, that is a really cool feature.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, so I'll put on my conservationist hat for a moment. I spent 9 years working for the Wisconsin Waterfowl Association, working in conservation daily. And some of the things that we talk about on the hunting side of the outdoors industry is of course, recruitment and retention and reactivation, things like that. We don't often so much hear about reductions in the amount of anglers, right? Anglers have generally held steadier than hunting, but the idea of helping engage new folks in the sport is critical, right? Because the old model of, my grandparents live on the farm, and so I learned to go fish in the farm pond with my grandpa and stuff like that. Unfortunately, in many ways, that's kind of a product of a bygone era. And so we want to make sure that people that didn't have that Norman Rockwell opportunity, whether they grew up in an urban environment or they grew up with, parents that didn't fish, or what have you, that they can come to an event like this and literally dip their toes in the water and find ways and people and resources to help them get rolling. And, that's part of like the DNR's got a booth there, as does Fish and Wildlife Service. Those folks are in the business of trying to help engage new folks. And yeah, that's definitely one of the, I guess if we said, well, what's one of the secret goals or one of the science side of goals of activities like this, both the spring show and this show and the waterfowl hunting show that I do working in August, is helping find new people find their path into the sport. So that, and I make this joke all the time, but I would never want in my lifetime or my kids' lifetime to have hunting or fishing or any of these outdoor pursuits become like an oddity, right? Here in Wisconsin, there's people that are really serious about curling, for example, right? And every 4 years when the Olympics come, somebody sticks a microphone in front of the curlers and is like, oh, what is this weird thing that you guys do? Tell us about it. And I would hate to have that happen to hunting or fishing, because, here in Wisconsin, they're a major part of who we are as a people. And so gigs like this are a little way to help make sure that happens for my future grandkids.
Yeah, but just to be clear, you said dipping your toes into the water, whatever. Don't swim in the trout pond. Don't do that. Don't do that.
We have engaged the Ice Junkie Outdoors team as our trout pond bouncers. So yes, no swimming, no pond wading will be allowed with the Ice Junkies bouncers enforcers.
Well, but that also brings up a good point. Going back to the Ice Junkie youth zone, we're talking about getting kids into the sport and stuff like that. Even if you're a parent standing around watching your kid participate in things, all of those people that'll be standing at that junkie booth, whether it's somebody that's manning a line or somebody that's helping you with whatever game or whatever, they are full of knowledge too. So you don't be afraid to sit and chit chat with them, because that's almost going to be a free seminar in and of itself, just going and picking the brains of those guys and gals over there, because those are some stellar people.
Oh yeah, for sure. And, I think one of the points that we haven't really mentioned is ice fishing can be such a social activity, right?
Mhm.
I mean, it's not like we're all in our individual boats. It's much more like shore fishing in a good way, in that, hey, nothing wrong with wandering around a little bit and seeing what's going on. And I think anytime you see big groups of people out on the ice, whether it's tournament activity or just a hot bite, or the memories of a hot bite that traditionally happens in this place, yeah, it is a tremendously social activity that can engage all ages. I mean, it's not the shh, gotta be quiet, don't bang anything on the bottom of the boat. No, man, it's hey, let's run around and have some fun, and wait for flags to go, or wait for the last half hour before it gets dark when the bite really gets hot. All of the good stuff, and sometimes with some hot food off the grill to boot.
Oh gosh, you're talking about being quiet on the ice, and when I always laugh at that. No, okay, I will admit I'm not the quietest, but when I'm on a lake and I am being quiet, and you're trying to jig and you're focusing, and like you're looking at the Vexlar and the lines are like about to meet, and then somebody sheer across the lake starts up some old gas auger, and by golly, it takes like 30 pulls and that thing, and it's loud, and then they're me, and then you wonder if they've even gotten like an inch through the ice, right? Like, get new blades. I don't know, but it's like I just always laugh. It's like if fish make it through that, like they can make it through anything.
I wonder how many times I've been that person for you. I mean,
It's just silly though, because okay, I guess in all fairness, like I feel like ice fishermen these days are a little bit blessed or something, because there's so many electric augers out there. The drill models, they're easy to use, they're light, they're portable, and it's stunning sometimes when somebody comes by you and they're like drilling a hole and it's just so quiet. It comes right out like a snow cone. And it's like amazing. It's like, wow, just like but I think people do get really spoiled by kind of that new technology. And so then when you hear the old gas augers, it's like hard to not laugh.
oh yeah, we are so spoiled. I tell this story all the time, and it makes it sound like I'm 150 years old, but I'm old enough that I can remember when I was early teens, my dad got his first Mora, right? The blue hand auger, which was wicked awesome compared to the Swedish Cup that we had before that, which I don't think so much actually cut ice as it did melt it if you turned it fast enough. But so I grew up on the shores of Lake Wissota. We were really blessed. We actually lived on the water, and my brothers and I pretty much could be free range chickens out on the ice as long as we had these boundary lines, which that's a whole nother age, right? How our parents could sleep at night with the amount of freedom they gave us, I don't know. But my brother and I would turn that Mora auger from mid-January on to the point where the handle rubbed on the ice, and then we would use the spud that we got from my grandpa to finish chipping out the bottom, because Wissota in those years routinely got 30 plus inches of ice on it. And I tell people that, and they're like, what, did you grow up in Alaska or something? I was like, yeah, no, man, this was the 70s. This is how it was. And we worked so hard to make every one of those holes through the ice. Now that you see people with these, they're drilling 5 holes faster than we could manage to bust out a half of one. It's surreal. Sometimes I feel like, I'm like the guy that started out driving Model Ts, and now I'm seeing everybody whizzing by.
But to be honest, I guess that's the other reason that I love this expo, is because sometimes, and I'm sure that this is other states and other places too, right? But sometimes we hit the ice and we see people that are out there using some really like ancient technology, or some like really basic technology. You run into people they've never seen a Vexlar, right? And that's like sometimes easy to laugh at when you're an ice fisherman. Oh my God, I can't believe they know what that is, right? But I think with social media, sometimes things get confusing. And so when you have a place that you can go and you can ask those questions and talk to other ice fishermen, I think that's something that I'm really looking forward to, seeing some of those new products. Because like I said, when people do go online, and sometimes all you hear is like, company, product, right? But when you can't go to your local store and get those things, right, that can be really, really frustrating. And you try to solve those problems or those hardships when you're on the ice, and then you like can't, right? So when you can come to a hub like this, an expo, you can see those companies that you don't normally run into, but you can also, ask those questions and refine your techniques. This is the time when I tell Josh, we have to split up for a while, and you go have conversations and I'll have conversations, and then we'll meet back here later. And then try to figure out as much as possible, right? Learn all you can.
The divide and conquer approach by Crappie Junction.
Well, I mean, that's one of the many benefits and blessings that we have as a couple, being so into the sport together, is that we do get different points of view from each other all the time. And so so that, that's one thing that we've gained our knowledge from all of these shows, like this one coming up in Wisconsin. But this one is unique in that a lot of the people here are not people that normally make it out to some of the other Western shows. So that's going to be a really cool thing. We're going to have knowledge that's like Wisconsin based. So that's going to be really cool. And if you didn't need another reason to show up for this show, Emily is going to be handing out prizes, because that's another cool thing that this show kind of has culminated in. You guys as the hosts have culminated is this like community within the vendors and just bringing everybody together. You just have an open invite for donations, and these vendors are just like, hey, you guys are awesome. We want to like treat the people there awesome and give your little present fairy bunch of stuff to go hand out. So how is that going to work, Emily?
Yeah, no, that's a pretty solid intro. You're exactly right. One of the things that one of the traditions, I guess, we're bringing over from our spring show is the prize patrol, which is ably staffed by the folks from Crappie Junction. And so, yeah, I guess that's one of the other cool enticements is, we're almost at a point where we're going to have to start putting you guys in costume or something. You'll literally be walking around like the Pied Piper. But yeah, when folks are cruising around the show, you could have Josh and Emily walk up to you and, bam, there it is. You are a prize patrol recipient. And it's no charge. It's completely supported by our vendor community. And to your point, Josh, it's just amazing. Before these events, we'll just throw out hey, folks, here's the prize patrol opportunity. If you've got something you'd like to promote, Josh and Emily are going to pick people out at random. We're going to do a little Facebook Live post. You're going to get some street cred, and somebody's going to get, to try your wicked awesome product. And it just blows up every year. I mean, I'm working on the list right now, and you guys are going to be tasked to spin all this stuff out to lucky recipients over the 3 days of the show. And it's I think a lot of events, there's opportunities to win stuff, and we've even got other opportunities, but Prize Patrol is kind of unique. I think that's kind of our thing. And I like the randomness of it. And to your point, I also like how much the vendor community likes it. It's just a cool way to get new product in the hands of unsuspecting victims.
Okay, Don. So we could talk about prizes all night, but people are excited about other questions. So I'm going to quick fire do a few other questions here. And if people at home have other questions, this is perfect timing in the show. Yep. Drop your questions or comments in just that comment box, and then we'll get to it. But here's a few of them. Tom, oh, wait, it's moving. Good job, people. Tom is asking, will there be Ice Junkies hoodies for sale at the show? Tom, I actually think so.
Yes, I will say yes. Brian and Jen will have a selection of hoodies. I don't know how vast that's going to be, but make sure if you are going there for one, get there quick.
Yes. Ben is saying, don't forget to visit the WIFA booth. And actually, Ben, we were mentioning that booth. Do you know if they're selling raffle tickets? Because that question came up earlier, and we thought that maybe you would, but we didn't have that exact answer. So if Ben, if you know, let us know. We have a question about if Summit Fishing Equipment will be there, and we will show off where to find the entire list of vendors. But here's a sneak peek. Cody, go to icefishexpo.com because you will be able to see not just a list, but you will be able to see a map. So you will be able to find those products when you get there.
And I think, and don't quote me on this, Summit does not have their own corporate booth. But I believe that Summit is one of the companies that I talked to this summer who will actually their products will be available at Thorne Brothers, I believe. So they don't have a separate booth. And please, forgive me if I'm in error, but I believe that Summit Fishing was one of the folks that I talked to earlier who ended up not doing a full booth, but their products will be available at Thorne Brothers.
Perfect. Brenta's saying that he's gonna have to stalk us for prizes. And I'm just saying, if somebody came in like a Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo prize patrol shirt, like, I'll see what we can do. Other notes. Jeff is saying can't afford to run out to St. Paul. I'm just gonna say nobody can these days.
Yeah, gas is expensive.
Shannon, any idea if there's usually a huge line to get in? I see there are gift bags for the first so many people. Don, what do you know about that?
So obviously we hope we're going to minimize the lines, but we will. So for example, those giveaways, and because there's 200 jigs given away to the first 200 paid entries each day, I wouldn't come at 1 o'clock on Friday and still hope to get one of the 200 jigs, right? Now, I'm also not telling you to camp out at 8 a.m., but I think it would be reasonable to maybe start working on an entry process at 12:15, 12:20, 12:30. Again, because we're ticketing remotely, you'll be able to go through ticketing, maybe get your free item if you manage to make the cut. You can go and park and then just wait. We will, just like we do at the spring show, we're going to have the national anthem just before we open the doors on Friday, on our first day, and on Sunday. So we'll have the national anthem. We'll open things up and get everybody rolling. And so, yeah, you're gonna want to. I hope there's not long lines, but I also anticipate that there will be a good amount of interest. So hopefully we can balance expediency with high demand.
While we're talking about this, do you know offhand the hours? That's kind of a hard question.
No, not at this point anymore. They're almost tattooed on my eyelids. So Friday show opens at 1 o'clock, closes at 7. Sunday show opens at 9 a.m., closes at 7. Sunday show opens at 9 a.m., closes at 4.
Jeff is asking, should we dress warm? My wife gets cold easily.
That's a pretty good question. So Friday, I've heard it's going to be pretty warm. I think we're going to see 52. We are bringing in heat to Building E, which is not a heated facility at Sunnyview. But then there's, holy smokes, between Ambush and Northwind's Fish House and Yeti, there's like a dozen wheelhouses, skid houses outside, plus two food trucks, plus another food vendor, and then there's coffee vendor and kettle corn vendor and H3O are all outdoor vendors. So there's a fair amount of outside stuff. I mean, yeah, I would dress like a winter day. You can always open up your jacket when you're in the warmer buildings, but there's a third of the show that's going to be outdoors. Friday, really nice and warm. Sunday, pretty darn nice for, middle of December in Wisconsin, upper 30s. Sunday looks like it's going to be a little cooler, 32-ish I saw. So if she gets cold easily, yeah, I'd tell her to bundle up because there's definitely cool stuff outside that you're going to want to check out.
Looking at other comments here, Todd is saying stop at the Cold Snap booth and tell me my middle name and get a T2 toothpick. So we learned on actually the Cold Snap episode of this series that the T2 is for Todd because he is the creator of the toothpick. But Todd, I do have to throw in there and just say I just assume that your middle name is also Todd. So if that's wrong, I'm going to come and say that anyways.
Todd.
Hey, I guess though, if that was true, they would have called it the T3 because that's like too convenient. So I must be wrong. It looked like you were going to say something.
No, I think you already hit that one, right?
Oh yeah, but good thing to call out. WIFA raffle tickets will be available there. So for the people who were asking, that's going to be perfect. Beavertail Baits checking in. Andrew's saying 2 show colors that are going to go fast. Don't expect them to be late in the day either. So I don't know, maybe some limited stock. But I know that Immaculate Tackle had checked in up above in the comment section. They said that they were bringing some exclusive show colors. Mm-hmm. He unfortunately bailed out because he's doing a fish fry right now. So thank you for the comments in the beginning. And we are excited to see what that color is coming up. But as far as all of that, Don, what have we missed?
Boy, I guess if anything, I would encourage people to go back and look at the seminar schedule because I think it's a real point of emphasis for us. The seminar speakers are really terrific. and
Disappeared.
and it's a full slate, right? There's like a seminar basically 15 minutes after the close of the last one, so you'll just barely be enough time to change the folks in the room. We've got a seminar room that's set up for 80 or 90 folks, so we should be able to have a really great capacity. And I'm not even going to begin to try to start naming the names, but there's some pretty big marquee names in there, frankly. And then there's some really, really awesome local Winnebago, Central Wisconsin, Northeast Wisconsin focus speakers. And then there's we mentioned Captain Greg, but Pat Calmerton from Wolfpack Adventures is coming to do a youth focused seminar as well. Just one more example. And then that's without even starting to mention some of the meet and greets that are going on. Dean Bortz, the editor for Wisconsin Outdoor News, is doing a meet and greet. Retired Packer Bill Schrader is going to be with us for a meet and greet. We mentioned Santa. You've got, if I recall correctly, I think Captain Barb Carey and Ricky Nicole are going to be doing a meet and greet in the clam booth. So if you're interested in Wisconsin Women Fish, those gals are there. They're both officers for that organization. How about this one? We haven't touched on it at all. DSG is doing a giveaway for a $1,500 shopping spree for DSG outerwear. Oh my gosh, ladies, I'm talking head to toe at $1,500. And they've got ladies' night, 4 to 7 on Friday. Come over to the DSG booth, and they've got free beverages for you. And I'm not talking, they actually have bottled water, but they've got beer. They've got White Claws and whatnot. So it's a legit ladies' night at DSG. So I guess if you're one of the fellas out there and your wife is kind of on the fence about, I don't know if we want to go to the expo or not, come on down. Holy cow, DSG is going to have her set up on Friday evening with ladies' night. So there's just some of the, and I see you guys brought up seminar page. That's awesome, but people need to dig in there because it's funny. Probably one of the number one questions that I've answered on our Facebook page, questions and whatnot, is your entry fee good for one day or the whole weekend? We did not, in year one, even anticipate that there would be demand for a multi-day pass. If we made one, oh shucks moment, maybe we should have jumped right out of the gate with a multi-day pass. We did not. So if you see more seminars that are on different days, you're going to have to pay us a couple of times to come in and catch them. But it's still cheaper than going to the movies. But in year two, if this is as successful as what we hope it is, we'll probably have to come up with a multi-day pass, either 2 or 3 days, because I've answered that question enough times. And the social scientist in me knows that, for every person that actually asks, there's 100 more that are wondering that don't ask. And so that's an opportunity that we'll work on for the future. But for this year, your entry gets you the day that you choose, but choose that day carefully based on who you want to come and see, because that seminar room is going to be hopping.
And I like that countdown till the expo. 1 day, 17 hours, 10 minutes, 56 seconds. Yikes.
I don't know. That makes me feel twitchy.
I don't know. The hardest part is done, right? And if vendors are booked, everyone's coming. It's all good to go.
I think that's actually more like noon on Friday. There's I got just a couple, 200-300 things to do tomorrow and Friday morning before we get to that point. But I hear where you're going.
I'm just super optimistic and excited.
And I'm gonna throw this in here because I really I love this logo. It's super awesome. And so there's all kinds of stuff here for the expo too. So just so you know.
I get, and that's kind of a good call out. We actually have, so one of our little, to your point, Josh, we build this stuff for the expositions, and people keep asking us if they could buy it. Like it got to the point where it was being year round. So we've started developing some apparel lines kind of around our logos and what we do. There will be an Exposition Outdoors booth right next to the Wisconsin Outdoor News booth. So we will have apparel offerings in stock. I don't know if we'll have the hat that Josh is wearing or the one that's exactly featured on the website, but I think so. And hey, Christmas is coming. So if you want really unique gifts, we've got some of those things there. And one of the neat deals is that not only will we have a bunch of stuff in stock, but Todd, our design king, who will be helping man that area, if we don't have your size in stock right there, I know that we also have the ability to order stuff very quickly. Now, I don't want to overpromise. I cannot promise you that if you order it Saturday that we'll have it in time for Christmas, but generally speaking, it's a fairly expedited process. And so even if we don't have the exact makeup that you want on hand, we usually can get it for you pretty quickly.
And then a really great question from Jeff. They're noticing that you can buy tickets online, so it's great. But if people would like to buy tickets at the event, can they still do that?
Yes, absolutely. So early on, much earlier, late summer, early fall, we ran a couple of ticket promotions for some discounting, or if you bought big groups. There's no more discounts now. So your advantage in ticketing in advance now would be expedited entry, just a little faster because we're not handling change or doing things like that. But if you roll into the lot, you're going to be able to pay by cash. You're going to be able to pay by credit card. Any of that is possible. The advanced ticketing option is just one that, frankly, we just kind of had to. It's just an expectation nowadays. And we've sold a boatload that way. There's just a portion of the world that just expects to be able to handle that ahead of time and have that ready to roll. And so we have to meet that expectation. But absolutely, you can roll in with your $10 and wham, you're rolling.
Nice.
And wham.
Wham, wham. $10 here, $10 there, wham, wham.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
And Eric, there is a tab here that is kids activities under fun at the expo. That kind of goes through kind of the kids activities and what day they'll be. And some of them have time, some of them are open-ended, so you'll just have to go in there and look.
And then I'll just add on, depending on which angle his was, I bet that the WIFA folks will have a bunch of information about their tournament series, which are usually, they're not closed, but they're for those groups, right? They're for those high school teams. But if you want to learn more about that and that whole world, and it is, I mean, that group is just growing like a weed in terms of the number of schools that have that participation in that program. If you want to learn more about that, you're going to head over to the WIFA or WIFA booth. It's right down by the seminar hall in the South Wing. And I know that they're going to have a ton of information about their programs and high level experts there to potentially help parents that might want to get something started in their school if they don't have that already, or kids that are interested and want to get hooked up in their area.
Awesome.
I'm really, really impressed. It's been a great series of questions tonight. That's awesome.
Well, I was going to say we didn't even. Yes, I guess you did. You did talk about it. I was going to say we didn't even talk about the food trucks, but yes, we did. Yes, we did. I'm just excited. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually kind of impressed with myself how many of these things I know by heart. But so we've got legendary Euros, we've got Inferno subs, we've got on the Fritz. So there's Euros and hot subs, and then on the Fritz is kind of tailgate food, right? Burgers, brats, and that sort of stuff. We actually just did the posting for them tonight. In addition, they are our beer vendor because it's Wisconsin, so we got to have beer, yeah. And so we've got a number of options of alcoholic beverages available with the On the Fritz team. And then above and beyond that, we have the popcorn folks. Kettle corn folks from Kettle Corn Castle, a new vendor partner for us. We got Traveling Tom's Coffee doing iced and hot coffee beverages, like custom stuff, high-end coffees. Plus, then you've got Wenzel Farm Sausages there doing sampling and selling stuff. You got Wisco Meats there doing handmade jerkies. Yeah, man, if you can't find something to eat with us, you're just too darn fussy. There's a lot of options available.
Well, and then otherwise we'd point you to the rest of Oshkosh because otherwise the expo's in a great place to spend the rest of the time that you're not at the expo. So, we're talking about coming as a family, coming, something for the kids, something for adults. And honestly, the whole town itself is a really fun place to be. So, we've had a few people that are checking in, that are traveling from quite a ways, and maybe they're even staying in the area. And honestly, it's going to be a really fun place to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all of us that live in the Fox Valley know how awesome it is. But I guess for the folks that, maybe live more than 40 or 50 miles away, you're going to love it. I mean, it's a great area. Obviously, you have Lake Winnebago right there, but Oshkosh itself is a really cool town. This has been a riot talking to vendors. People are just blown away by how much lodging there is. And it's like, well, yeah, they got this little thing in town. You might have heard of it, the Experimental Aircraft Association. Yeah, they bring like 1 million people there for a whole week at the end of July. So we got to have someplace for these people to stay. And it's one of those other funny things, joking with vendors, how fortunate we got that there's not a home Packer game this year, because even though Oshkosh is about 42, 43 miles away from Green Bay, it's still considered in the primary ring of lodging when you bring 80,000 people into Lambeau. And so we just by the grace of God, we got lucky this year. They're not only playing away out in New York, but on Monday night. Thank you. So we don't have that competition for our first Sunday. Someday we will. Someday we'll be up against a home game against the Bears or something on Sunday, but not this year. So we dodged that bullet.
We'll just be out there with a tailgate event because that just sounds like it could be fun all together somehow.
Oh my gosh. Now, so you're the second person in 24 hours that is suggested tailgating, which I have zero preparation for. If we start having a bunch of cheeseheads tailgating before this event, we're gonna have to come up with a whole another page in the playbook for next year, because that at no point in the 27-month planning schedule did we discuss tailgating or how to handle it or what we're going to do with that. So
we got a day and a half. We're good.
There's plenty of time. We're going to figure this all out.
Yeah. If Saturday night I'm walking around and there's like little piles of smoldering charcoal and stuff all over the place in the parking lot, and like, bitten off ends of bratwurst and stuff like that, I don't even know what I'm going to do. But we'll burn that bridge when we come to it, right?
So I shouldn't have people sign up for side dishes in the comments.
Who knows, man? I guess that will be, that is what will take our, if somehow the Wisconsin Fishing Expo becomes home to the ice fishing tailgate, that is when we'll know that Elvis has left the building. We are at another level.
Oh my goodness.
I love having goals.
Yeah, you got to have a goal to get there, right?
We already have a few votes for tailgate, so
Yep.
maybe next year this is going to become a real thing. This is going to be awesome.
That is that totally unexpected, and now that it's been spoken by multiple people, and now here, I guess we just got to plan for a full out next year. Like, we're gonna have to lock the gates until 7 a.m. on Friday to keep people from firing off the tailgate. When
now we're getting Mr. Buddy Heater Buddy Heater cooking competitions.
Yeah. See now we're headed down a whole trail that we didn't want to go down.
I'm thinking these are quality ideas, so people keep them coming.
Yep.
Either way, that's not happening this
Don
year.
doesn't get enough love in his emails, so just hit him up.
Yeah, I was going to say it sounds like we're well on the way to the planning function for that whole piece of the pie.
Well, I just want to sneak in here before we wrap this up. Do get your comments in on the Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo page, because they are giving away 2 tickets. So if you didn't catch that at the beginning of the show, just throw a comment in there. I'm going to do a random comment picker at the end of the show. Probably, I don't know, maybe I'll run it till 9, 10 o'clock. We'll see how squirrely I get. So.
How about this, guys? Let's do the doubler. Why don't you pick 2 winners? We'll give away 2 pairs of tickets.
Okay.
What?
So
2
then
winners.
We'll do this. Then if you have commented on the Crappie Junction page, or we've commented on the Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo page, we'll just do a random pick on either page. That way everybody's included this week.
Yep.
Perfect.
I'm going to have to get my
2
comment.
doublers.
Otherwise, Tom's not going in.
If you include a tailgating recipe, does that move you up in the ranking, Josh? How does that work?
Yes, that's 2 votes. Also, the people that commented that they're driving from far away, also 2 votes.
No, that's a great point. We're super excited to see how far people are willing to come to join us. You know, we've fielded a lot of inquiries from Northern Illinois. You know, it's part of how we selected where we're at, right? We think we're in the right area to not only have a great local German potato salad. Man, I'm going to tag that guy's entry right now because I'm down with the German potato salad. If not only do we have a great population locally, right? There is a ton of anglers that could literally drive less than 40 miles to come and join us. But we also have a feeling that we may have some of our friends come from Madison, you know, from the UP, from maybe even as far as Wausau or beyond. And, you know, we want to be that option to all the Minnesota shows. 7-hour drive or 30, that's just awesome. That's crazy. But I'm loving it. So hopefully we will send all these people home on their long drives feeling really fulfilled and glad that they chose to make the choice to come and give us a shot.
And if you are driving from a long way away and you are making this a weekend event, you know, absolutely, we really like to have your business and come out, join us for the show, even a couple of days. But even if you have a little bit of time outside of the show, Oshkosh has a lot of cool stuff that you can do. Just wandering around, it's a very walk around friendly place. There's a college campus there. There's some good food there. There's a bunch of great parks, all kinds of fun stuff to do in Oshkosh. So yeah, it'll be a great weekend event, you know, the show and just dicking around.
Goodness. I gotta break in and say that, you know, obviously we could talk about this all night here.
For
but
another day and 17 hours.
No, yeah, no, Don needs at least a little bit more sleep.
Oh, okay.
A little bit. But I was gonna say we have 3 days coming up to talk about this. And so
Yeah.
Obviously people are excited. Obviously people are coming. Obviously we're going to be there. But to the people who really can't make it, I guess we understand for this year. But you know, we will be at the expo and we're going to be bringing a lot of that show to the people who cannot be there. So highlights and videos and little blips of things and stuff and everything along the way. And I don't even know what that is yet, so I'm making it up. But we are going to see what that is together, and it's going to be a really great time. So without further ado, Don, thank you so much for all the information and your time and being here and all the fun tonight.
Yeah, I knew this would be a fast hour, but it was even faster than I thought it would be. So it's I wish, and I say this with all sincerity, I wish I could spend more time with you guys. It was a bummer that you moved further away from me, but it's still great to be able to get to work with you. We're really fortunate to have partners like you in this endeavor. And I'll just sign off by saying, please come and join us. Give us a shot, and we hope that you will at least meet your expectations, if not exceed them.
And if we don't see you at the expo, then hopefully we see you for next week's edition of the Night Bite.
Night, everybody.